Hey YouTube, this is my build showcase for my Autobomber. It is using Sadist Mercy instead of Brutus Lead Sprinkler. The build functions very similarly to the other Autobomber. It's basically you get up the tornadoes kill, and procs these little balls that attack mobs. So the main difference between the Brutus Lead Sprinkler and this is the Lead Sprinkler is really good for targets in the same spot, but this one will attack other ones as well. So it has a little bit of range. Whether or not that actually does anything is still questionable, but the single target is quite good, as you can see here. And even with a very bare bones character, you can do some pretty good damage. So this is my Arbiter of Divinity Call. In this character, I ran this kill as a POC, so there aren't any jewels except for one Heart of the Abyss. That being said, it's going quite well. For each equipment slot, I think I only had one divine per slot. So you can run this on a pretty cheap budget. The only expensive thing is the delirium emotions for the anoint, but other than that, the items are very cheap. And as you can see here, the only jewel that I have socketed is this, and every other slot is empty. So to get into the build itself, the core of the build is Archon of Chayula. This is the purple tornadoes. So this is a glory skill. Once you have 100 glory, you can use it, and for a set duration, it will shoot out those tornadoes, and we use those tornadoes to do damage, to cause wither, and then trigger other skills. In this case, we are triggering Harbinger of Madness. This one causes you to create those orbs whenever it hits an enemy, whenever it kills an enemy, or when it hits a rare. And those will do a small amount of damage depending on the life of the enemy. But if you're fighting a boss or a tanky rare, you can have a ridiculous amount of those balls coming out and hitting everything on the screen, which is pretty cool. So Archon of Chayula is our offenses, and then our defenses come from two things. One is darkness. So I wanted to try out darkness. I've heard that it is quite good in terms of tankiness as well as recovery. And it's quite good. You do have to give up all of your spirit, but in return you get a very large pool of darkness. And from what I've seen, it's very good, actually. You get very tanky, it recovers very well, and yeah, that combined with Bringer of Rain, which gives a sizable amount of armor evasion. So that is our offenses, that is our defenses. Other than that, the build is extremely simple. Since we are using darkness, we can't use any spirit gems. So everything else is just filling up resistances. I have the mage blood, but again, it's just filling out resistances. You get a little bit of speed and some crit chance, but you can fill out that instead of rarity on the rings, and it'd be pretty equal, I think. Otherwise, I just have a bunch of resistances, a little bit of melee skill gems, levels of melee skills here. Resistance is life, levels, a little bit of crit, and then life. Otherwise, I'm using this Hammer of Faith. This gives random shrine buff. It's nice, but the main reason why I'm using it is it just has a high fizz damage. So a lot of the flat damage for the build is coming from this mace here. If you don't want to use this, you can opt for either a rare, so you can get more gem bubbles, or you can try one of the other unique maces as well. So the tree is pretty straightforward. We're just trying to get as much crit, skill effect duration, and Archon buff duration. Those are the core things that we're focusing on the tree here. This build itself was for a proof of concept, so I didn't really put that much budget into it at all. But this here can be interesting. A time lost jewel being put here for crit chance and crit bonus. You do get a lot of notables here, 5 in total. So this gives about 50 crit damage, which is pretty nice. So here are the gems. I'm currently using Chaos Attunement, Conk Effect, Blindside, Long Shot, and Prolonged Duration on Arcana Chula. To get blind for Blindside, we're using Harbinger of Madness. This is from the Mace. This one here. And this one has Blind in it with Armor Break, Conk Area, Heft, and then Molten Blast is just to get glory in the initial phase. So this is using Fork, Nova Projectiles number 1. Make sure it's 1 as number 2 has a cooldown on it. Rapid Attacks, and Salvo. Salvo lets you get seals, so you can do that and it'll slowly build up again, just to shoot more projectiles. If you keep using it, you won't have seals, but you really only need to use it at the beginning of the map most of the time. Afterwards, Arcana Chiula will keep the glory up for you. And if that ever runs out, you can also use Ancestral Cry. Ancestral Cry has Magnified Area, Prolonged Duration, Perpetual Charge, Bramble Slam, and Heightened Charges. So we do get a small amount of endurance charges from Armor Break 3. So we're just using those to extend the Ancestral Cry as long as possible. So at the highest uptime, you get about 1.5 minutes if everything procs. But yeah, that's the build. It's just a simple proof of concept of some ideas that I had. Both ideas coming from the comment section. So one person was saying to try out Sadist Mercy, and the other person was asking about Darkness to see if that would be any good. Yeah, together they're pretty cool. The build itself is quite tanky. You can stand in the middle of most packs and everything's okay. If you don't want to use Bringer of Rain, you can get the strength for it or use a one-handed mace instead. A good option for a one-handed mace is the Expedition Mace. That gives you power per, or damage per power, which goes very well with Grueling Madness. This one is just a little bit more damage and you get the shrine buffs. But yeah, if you want to have a body armor, you can swap to that instead. But yeah, thanks for watching this far, guys, and have a good day.